Thank you, Jason. That was really inspiring, and you didn't let me down from the great introduction. I hope, everyone. But yeah, indeed, that's exactly what it's all about, and it's all about the human beings and the change. Don't we all know that by now? And you're all EXO users, so we know that they're complicated systems, and getting them right is hard. And there's a great way to introduce the man we often need, always need, for the MYOB EXO user group sessions is Murray Dudding, the brave man that comes and brings us sometimes even live demonstrations of what's going on in EXO. So welcome, Murray. Take us away with some tips and tricks on MYOB as you do.
Thank you, Grant, for that very kind introduction. We will be doing a live demo today, folks, so let's hope it goes well. So in this first of the two segments that we've got, because we've got Stump the Consultant coming up, if you've got any questions about anything that I'm going to cover off in this segment, chuck them in the Q&A, and we'll endeavour to answer those questions when we come to that second segment later on. And if we don't catch them, then we will try and answer them right at the end of the session. So in this first segment, in the spirit of incremental innovation, we're going to be looking at a few of the, one of the key features of EXO, which is a little unknown. And in these segments, I always try and introduce one feature to the product, which is a little less known than some of the standard functionality in line with Jason's 20% of the product is only ever used. So, and this is quite a useful feature for tracking events through the system and keeping a record of changes that have occurred within the system. We're also going to take a look at customizable right-click menu options. There's some new functionality that's been introduced there. And we're also going to take a look at some new functionality around business alerts and how these can now just be used to track new accounts and transactions within the system. We're going to take a look at multiple selecting of stock items within point of sale and distribution advantage. Again, another new feature that's been brought in. And then we're going to finish by taking a quick look at some changes that Microsoft have brought. Bless them, they always keep throwing some changes at us. And just to give you a heads up that some changes are coming around accessing web-based applications within the EXO product. So the version that we're going to be using today is EXO version 2022.2. It's the most recent version. Some of the features, like event reasons, for example, it's been around for a long time. So I'm sure that when you go back to your own system, you'll be able to utilize those features. Some of the others are in the newest releases, so they may not be available. I'm going to start by sharing my screen. And let's pick the right screen. And then I need to click on the share button down the bottom. It's been a while since I've done this, folks. So roughly 6 to 8 months. So hopefully you're all looking at EXO now. And the first thing we're going to take a look at is event tracking, or event reasons as it's called in EXO. There's many actions that can be tracked through the EXO system. These include changes to debtor and creditor accounts, including supplier payment details, generating credits, editing invoices or sales orders, cancelling or writing off lines and job costing. These event trackers can prompt the user to explain what they're doing when they make that change, or they can be tracked silently. So let's jump into EXO config and take a look at where these are stored. In the system settings of EXO config, under event reason classes, here are all the events that can be tracked through the system. So you can see as we scroll down, there is quite a few. And if we just pick one at random, we can see that we can turn off event tracking, we can have it as active, or we can have it as silent. Now, obviously, if it's silent, a record for that event is created, but there's no notification that pops up to the user at the time that they change that record. If we have it set to track, we can additionally provide them with a set of reasons for that change. And so we can basically create as many event reasons as you like, which gives them a list of options to choose from for why they're performing that particular action. Let's take a look at a worked example. If I open up job costing, by the way, menu favorites, fantastic. It makes the system so much more usable when you've got your favorites listed down that side. I'm going to go into a job. Now, if I was to decide to cancel one of these lines, if I click on cancel, it props up with a prompt to record the reason why I'm cancelling that line. If I was to write off a line, it not only pops up with a little box to record the reason I'm writing that line off, but it gives me some drop-down options as well. So they were the options that I was talking about earlier. So I can select the option, I can type in some additional details. And there we go, job done. By the way, just while we're here, just as a little FYI for those who use job costing, this is another feature you may not have seen. You can now right mouse click and unwrite off a line if you've written off a line accidentally. Quite a cool little feature. The next thing that I wanted to show you is customizable right mouse click menu options. Now, you may recall from a previous user group that we looked into customizable right-click options inside job costing, essentially what I've just done there with the cancelling and the writing off of lines. But you can now select which menu options appear in the debtor or creditor transactions tabs. So let's take a quick look at that. Let's close out of JC. Come back into Exoconfig. I'm going to go to Profiles. No, I'm not. I'm going to go to a debtor account first so I can demonstrate exactly what I'm talking about. So if I go into a debtor and I go to my transactions menu, I'll make this a little bit larger so it's easy to see. If I right mouse click on an invoice, for example, I've got a bunch of options here, including generating credits and duplicating invoices and so on and so forth. And if I was right mouse clicking on a payment, I'd be able to reverse that payment and so on and so forth. Now, you may want to give people access to view the transactions within a debtor, but you might not want them to be able to do all of that stuff, generating credits and what have you. So MYOB have now introduced a feature where you can control those right mouse click menu options. So let's see how we set that up. Inside config, inside profiles, type right. Here are the two new profiles that have been added. And if I click on this little box over here, excuse me while I look away to my right, obviously I've got two screens on the go. It makes my life so much easier. Doing a user group online does have some advantages. We can see that these are the options that we have in terms of our right mouse click menu options. So if I was to remove some of these that I may not want them to have access to, I hit OK, click Save. I jump back in, I'm going to close my data screen and I'm going to go File, Refresh Settings. I'll come back into my data account. Let's open this up. Now, if I right mouse click on an invoice, I can see that the ability to generate a credit or reverse a payment and what have you, duplicate an invoice, have now been removed from those right mouse click menu options. That's a really useful feature. Because it's a user profile, it means that it can be controlled on a user-by-user basis. You just set it up against the user profile associated with those people that you don't want to have access to that functionality. The next thing that we're going to take a look at is alerts for new accounts and transactions. So we can now set up business alerts to only trigger for new accounts and transactions. This makes it easy for you to ensure that if you're doing for example, a debtor setup, that all of the fields that need to be filled in have been filled in. So if I go back into my debtors, we've got an example here where, in our example, we have implemented a new policy where all clients must have their contract date recorded against their debtor account. And so we've got this extra field here to capture that contract date. We can see that for this existing debtor account, we actually don't have a contract date recorded against it. The date you're seeing is just the default date that displays when you're using a date picker field. And until you actually select something here, no date is recorded. So just a little FYI, if you've got date picker fields inside your system, because it's showing today's date, chances are it's not actually recording any date at all. But that's not what we're on about. So I've got an existing user account here, an existing debtor account. Sorry. I'm just going to make a change through this debtor account just to demonstrate that these business alerts only work for new accounts. So if I'm going to make a change to my debtor, just to modify my postal address, if I hit save, no alert pops up, no warnings. If I try the same thing with a new debtor account, apologies for the lack of creativity and the debtor account name. Clearly not feeling particularly creative today. We won't get too carried away with populating a whole lot of fields, but what I'm not going to do is populate this field just to show you what happens. If I hit save on this new debtor account, I get this warning popping up saying, hey, well, Taiho, you haven't filled in all the fields, or you haven't filled in this field specifically. So if I was to enter that, select the date, contract date for this client, they signed on Monday. If I hit save now, no error, no warning. So quite a useful feature. Enables you to target in on those new accounts that have been created. It also applies or works for CRM non-accounts or prospects, as they're otherwise called, contacts, stock items, GL accounts, serviceable units, and transactions as well. So next thing we wanted to show you, and I know I've got to try and cram as much as I can into my 15-minute slot, but the next thing that I wanted to show you was multiple selection options within stock items. Now, this is a feature that's currently available within sales orders and purchase orders and things like that. They've extended that functionality out, and it's now available within the Distribution Advantage Stock Transfer module, and it's also available within Point of Sale. So I'm going to quickly show you how this works. If we go and open up Distribution Advantage, you may notice as I'm doing these demos, again, I'm trying to pull in different features of the system that may not be familiar to everyone, just so you get a little bit of not only a highlight of the feature that I'm talking about, but also a highlight of some area of the system that you might not be familiar with. And I'm going to open up the stock transfer requests module. So for those of you who are not familiar with it, it enables you to raise a transfer request, which is then supplied from another location, shipped, it goes into an in-transit location, and then can be receipted in by the requesting location. So it's an extended stock transfer functionality. Now, the particular feature I'm talking about is the multi-select stock items. So say we've got an account group that we know we need to replenish from our warehouse, for example. So I can pull up a stock group. This is the stock group that I'm replenishing from, and I can now select all of the items that I need replenishing from my branch. I then click select and close, bang, multiple stock items all selected in one hit. Saves your warehouse guy, person, sorry, a bunch of time. There you go, that's the multi-select. And that's all of the key features that I wanted to show you today. There is one other thing that I just wanted to quickly mention. So as you may be aware, Internet Explorer is being deprecated. It's being replaced by Microsoft Edge as the default web browser in Microsoft applications. Now, there is an add-on to Microsoft Edge called WebView 2, or one word. And going forward in the EXO product, WebView 2 is the add-on that's needed to launch some of the internet-based applications like the Education Centre, or some of the tax office web-based applications also will require this going forward. Now, it comes as standard with Windows 11, but if you're running Windows 10, it's just a simple Google search, download it off the web, and it takes about 60 seconds to install. So if you run into any issues with things like the Education Centre and going forward in the future, it might be that WebView 2 is the problem. That's it from me now. Look forward to talking to you all later, where you get to play Stump the Consultant. As I said, keep your questions firing in, and we'll do our best to answer them. Thanks, and see you soon.
Thanks a lot, Murray. Hey, just a quick question. What version of EXO were you demonstrating there, sir?
That was 2022.2.
2022.2. Thank you. That's good to know. And as Murray said, folks, he's willing to come back and accept questions to be stumped. Sort of. He sort of is. We have to pay him a lot of money to get him to come back. But he will be back. And thanks, Murray. That was wonderful. And I hope everyone enjoyed that, learned something. Hopefully some tips and tricks is always good to go back with, or ask your consultancy to develop or enhance or bring into the system for you.